Hey, witches.
Hi, hello, and welcome to a new episode, a book that's not fantasy,
Yeah,
mythical in any way, shape, or form. It is actually something
kind of
outside,
horror, honestly.
yeah, very
This one.
psychological,
Yeah,
could happen in real
thriller.
life sort of thing. And it is getting so good because tell me
Well, where
why
I'm
I
at, we're
am
still like,
way ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say where I'm at, we're still like getting to know the characters kind of vibe. But I have a prediction already, just because based on looking at the cover of this book, I wasn't okay. This book is about a serial killer, right?
Yeah, so the book's called The Eyes Are the Best Part. It is Jiwon's life tumbles into disarray in the wake of her appa, which this is a Korean family thing. So appa is dad in Korean. Um, so, in the wake of her appa's extramarital affair and subsequent departure, her mother, distraught, her younger sister, hurt and confused, her college freshman grades failing, her dreams horrifying yet enticing. And then Jiwon walks through bloody rooms full of eyes, succulent blue eyes, salivating blue eyes, eyes the same shape and shade as George's, who is Uma's obnoxious new boyfriend. Uma is her mom. George has already overstayed his welcome in her family's claustrophobic apartment. He brags about his puffed up consulting job, ogles Asian waitresses while dining out, and acts condescending toward Juwon and her sister, as if he deserves all of Uma's fawning adoration. No, George doesn't deserve anything from her family. Ji-Wan will make sure of that, for no matter how many victims accumulates around her campus or how many people she must deceive and manipulate, Ji-Wan's hunger and her rage deserve to be sated.
Yeah.
So it's serial killer-esque. We don't even have it confirmed yet.
Right. But like, and I don't know who the serial killer is going to end up being, but like, this is clearly George's eye on the cover
Uh,
of the book.
I know. As soon as he was like blue eyes, I was like, the cover.
That's clearly so where I'm at, it's like a Korean, what would you call that? A superstition that if they cook the whole fish and
Mhm.
then they pull the bones and stuff out after cooking it. And it's like a superstition that eating the eye of the fish brings you like good luck. And so that's been like a huge theme so far in the first, 13 chapters.
Yeah.
Uh, and so when I saw this, I was like, that's George's eye. That right there,
Yeah.
that's George. So,
It's really cool too because it mixes culture and the cultural norms of one and how it clashes with location and like the culture of where you are. And
yeah.
then it also mixes like that psyche and like trauma. And like a lot of people claim whether the and it's I don't want to say it's a joke, but it's like an ongoing running joke, I guess. Like if you're on TikTok, if you're on any type of like social media and you see like an Asian person making fun of like their family. Like there is one girl in particular who pretend like she acts as herself and her mom is like basically very hard on her, like doesn't say
Yeah.
I love you, is very like not abusive, but like that's very Asian coded. And that's usually not how Americans are. I mean, like there are moments, but it's
Yeah.
not like in that is the cultural norm there. That is how they are. That's not like this one family over here is like abusing their kids. That is just life. That
And
it's
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 very much
hard
like
love.
the videos of like Hispanic families where they're like their mom takes their shoe off. Like
Yeah.
it's the same kind of vibe. Like not every family, but like it's it's a common cultural occurrence.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where it's like it's tough love. Like in Asian culture, it's common that like if you get handed an orange, like that is top tier. Like love right there. If you're handed fruit or if you're handed food or something like that,
It's
like that's
insulting to not accept it.
yeah, that's basically like your parents telling you, I love you. Where
Yeah,
American families or like American born cultures, they like will say it whenever, like they're not shy about it. So
yeah,
it's it's a cultural thing. So it's really cool to watch, like, or not have to watch, but like to read a book from an actual Korean American and
yeah,
how their life can clash with the American style of life with a mix of the psyche, a mix of like what mental health can do to you and like the ins and outs of seclusion. So it's so fascinating and it's like what the fuck is
yeah, and
happening?
you know what else is funny? We didn't do this on purpose, and I know that this is Korean and we're doing Japanese folklore, but this is a very Asian themed period of A Court of Witches. Um, as
Yeah.
that's just funny.
Yeah. So like the first and it's a I wouldn't say it's a short book, but it is it's not
Compared
it's
to some of the
yeah.
sagas we've read, it is, and it's a
It
standalone.
Yeah, it's a standalone. It is obviously fiction. I mean, it could be truth, but fiction. Um, and the chapters are not that long, so the chapters gonna seem like they're gonna be astronomically long, but they're really not. So for this first part, we're gonna cover chapters 1 through 13, which is about 60 pages, and the we probably won't talk a lot on it. It'll probably be like one-off comments about things that are happening because
Uh,
w chapters 1 to 13 is really like and I've read, like, up to 30.
Yeah.
So, like, these chapters are like the building. It's kinda like building up to why things
Getting
are
to know the
happening.
characters, the background. It's kinda like the world building, except it's not a fantasy novel, so it's
Yeah, so it's just a build up. So, and that's basically what it's gonna be. So,
yeah.
it might not be as exciting for our listeners. But honestly, in the wake of things that are happening in America and for like the mental health aspect of this in other cultures, like let's take a moment of silence for Renee Good, her family, her kids, um, and the fascists that are running the country.
And everyone else that has been murdered by ICE and the FBI, the terrorist agencies that are running our country.
Yeah. So let's take a moment of silence. Okay. Fuck ice. And on. Hey.
FDT. Okay.
Listen, hold on real quick. This is a video that I sent you, but it's a drag queen doing a dance and she's lip syncing to a parody of the hippopotamus song for like all I want is a hippopotamus for Christmas.
Okay.
It's actually a cover of a song and the lady it's like a white woman and she's like I want a different president for Christmas. Only a
Yeah.
different president will do. And then she like goes to talk about stuff and like whoever is the hero of that video posted the original song in the comment
I
section.
love it.
And I'm telling you what is gold. And it's actually a pretty dope song. So um but yeah, okay. Chapter 1. This is where we learn a lot about the eyes.
Yeah. Chapter 1, we learn about the eyes, and we learn that Oma's she's a little insane.
Uh-huh.
She's a little she's experienced a great upheaval and trauma in her life, and she's going off
This
deep end
is
a little bit.
This is her traumatic response, and this is kinda
Yeah.
what leads to a lot of the traumas that both kids experience. Um, so the where is it? So they are having fish for dinner that evening, and Uma essentially cooks the entire fish, and then she, like, rips out the dorsal fins, rips out the bones, all of that. And she turns around and looks at her 2 kids and says, "Who wants the eye?" And so this is a sister duo, so Jiwon.
And
I look
Jihyun.
not that I looked it up, but, like, I take Korean on Duolingo, so, like, I kinda know how to say the words
Yeah.
with, like, an American style accent, unfortunately, because
Yeah.
shit runs deep. But it's like Ji-hwan. It's like you it's like a little H in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And she's the main character. That's the one we kinda, like, follow along.
She's like the
Ji-hyun
narrator.
yeah, Ji-yoon is her 15-year-old sister. So we have an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old, and the 15-year-old is very picky eater and, like, will gag just even thinking about, like, looking at an eyeball kind of thing. Um, so basically, this is kind of where we start learning about the fish and everything.
Yeah.
It's it's actually a very, like I hope this book ends, like, coming back, like a full circle moment, like, "Who wants the eye?" And it's like, "Mm, more for me." And, like, I think that would be a
Yeah.
clever ending. Um, but anyways.
Yeah. That's basically all that happens in chapter 1. They're eating dinner, and then Uma's like, "Okay, that was so delicious. I'm so full. I couldn't eat another bite." And then she goes into her bedroom, um, and they start cleaning up the the dinner.
Mhm,
And um Jiwon gets kind of like she says, "If Jihyun wasn't here, I would have said it. It wasn't me. I didn't do it." Talking to the fish because the fish is still got the other eye and so is looking at her.
mhm.
And
Like, how
she's
dare
like,
you?
yeah. And I feel like that might be foreshadowing.
Yeah, like, one eye's gone and the other one's left, what happens now kind of thing.
Yeah.
We also learned that Uma came from a very, very poor family.
Yes.
Um, so I guess in the 70s in Korea, there was a lot of starvation, a lot of poor families, a lot of um, people passing away because of starvation. And it's not just like Korea, but there's like families and locations and places in time where you eat everything on
Yeah.
something. Like, it's
You
a
don't
very
waste.
indigenous thing. You eat the meat, you collect the bones for tools, and then you use the pelt for warmth in the winter.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very common
And it's
cultural
also a
thing.
very eco-friendly thing. Like,
Yeah. You don't waste anything. It's a zero
okay,
waste
that's a whole
lifestyle.
tangent.
Yeah, so and that's very, I mean, that is basically what you do when you're poor or when you wanna survive off the land. Like, it's a zero
Yeah.
waste lifestyle, and it's not uncommon, but we're
No.
Americans and we overconsumption everything in life.
Everything.
So she grew up very poor and her parents made her eat the eyes, um, and then she, like, made comments, like, "Probably because my parents, like, I she was like, "Growing up, I didn't like them either, but I like them now, and it's just because you guys are young, but it's probably because my parents forced me to eat them. We were poor, and they didn't want anything to go to waste." And that it's lucky to eat the eye. It brings good luck. All of the luck in the world comes to you when you eat the like, an eye of a fish or something, or when you eat an eye. I don't know if it's just strictly fish or if it's, like,
Yeah, I don't
other
think she
animals,
says,
but it's very, like, fish eccentric at this moment, so it's kinda hard to tell. Um
which makes sense based on it being, like, Korean because that is on the coast, right? Like, so
Yeah, it's like a peninsula.
yeah.
And Asian cultures are very fish centric just because of like locations. I mean,
And it's a healthier meat, like
that's why they live longer and have great skin and hair. It's collagen.
that and the, gun control and healthcare. It's anyway. Chapter
Happier
2.
lifestyle.
um, we learn in chapter 2, and I literally only wrote one thing about this, but we learn that their dad left them. Um,
And it's only been 2 weeks. It's
yeah, and
very
it's only been
fresh.
2 weeks. So, like, that's why I'm a little cray-cray right now. Um,
And it actually is the first time that Jiwon has heard of people eating fish eyes
yeah,
because she admits in the first sentence, "This is the first time I've heard of people eating fish eyes," and, like,
yeah,
until 2 weeks ago.
yeah, and so I don't know, the way that this chapter was written, I was really confused at first, but I think it's because of Alma's trauma and the way she's trying to deal with it.
Mhm.
She almost makes it seem like he's dead.
Yeah. It's also, like, when because, like, I've read not read ahead, but yeah, I would say because I read ahead, I have a little bit of, like, I guess a clearer picture of, like, what's leading up to it. I actually really appreciate how kinda chaotic these chapters can be, written wise, like and maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but when you are going through, like, a lot of trauma and you watch people kind of start losing their mind or, like, being concerned of things, you kinda do it yourself, and that's kinda how it's, like, makes me think it's written. Like, I'm like, "God, she's, like, crazy." Not Uma, like, the Jiwon, like,
Juan,
God,
yeah.
she's crazy, like, she's traumatized, she's all of this, but it's like, "Oh, this is actually, like, clever." It's written to make you think that way.
Yeah.
Like, so you're essentially losing your mind trying to understand her losing her mind.
Yeah, I like it. It's very psychological.
Yeah, and that's so up our
Um,
alley.
you know, but then moving on from that, we find out in chapter 3 that he did leave because he had an affair and he met someone else and he left for that person.
Mhm.
Um,
And it's so sad too, like, you literally are just reading the first 3 chapters, and if you've ever like, I've never experienced, like, divorce or any of that. As a child, I had not a healthy relationship or not even a child, but, like, growing up, I didn't have a healthy relationship with my dad. I actually wished my parents were divorced. Like, the kids who had divorced parents, I was like, "God, I wish."
right.
And, like, it only solidified when my parents got into, like, a really bad fight, and I would look at my mom and be like, "You just need to leave him." Like and I wouldn't even know what the fight would be about. Like, I would just witness a really bad fight, and I would just be thinking this, but it's like, she's trying to deal with her own trauma in life, but also caring for somebody who is essentially getting a divorce, like, it's not
Yeah.
confirmed yet, but, like, that's what is happening, and it's
And
really
she's the oldest
sad.
daughter, so, like,
Yeah.
she also feels responsible for her younger sister.
And taking care of her parents, because that's
Yeah,
also, like, a cultural, part where, like, in other cultures, not, like, European or, like, American cultures, but, like, in pretty much all cultures, extended families come and live with the, like, nuclear family.
yeah,
That's why the term "it takes a village to raise people" is a thing, because that's the point of it.
yeah,
So, as the oldest daughter, she's feeling like she needs to care for everyone, and that's
mhm,
a lot of stress. She's 18, she's a fresh adult going to college, and it's bringing out emotions for people who ever read this if they have this. Um, but in chapter 3, we do hear from Appa,
yeah,
and he doesn't talk to anybody but Jiwon, and, like well, okay, he hasn't talked to her yet, sorry, that's in a different chapter, but, like, we finally meet him in this kinda chapter, and
yes,
I guess apparently this is, like, when he's leaving, and
yeah.
Uma
Everyone overhears the fight.
Yeah, and, Uma basically was like, "I don't understand why you would want to leave. Don't you care about me? Don't you care about the girls?"
And he
And
gets pissed.
that's oh, yeah, he was like, "Of course I care about the girls," and I'm sitting here like, "Dang." My favorite is the lack of seeing the girls in the 2 weeks that he's left.
Right.
And apparently his
That's
name's Yolo.
yeah, which is great. That's really all I wrote. I wrote, "Oh, so not dead then."
Yeah. So he met another woman, he left, and Uma's kind of like, "What the fuck is going on in life?" And so, I mean, it's probably just easier to say that he died than he, like, left for
Yeah,
another woman. So
and
that's
it's probably easier to think that in her head, and that's easier to cope with, right? Like
yeah. I just, like, thought of it and I was like, "Dang, I know my mom died, but I'm over here thinking like, no, she's just working."
right, it's like the opposite, like
Yeah, it's a coping it's like how
yeah,
you cope. It's not healthy, but I mean, it's just how you cope, and that's kinda what we go through. Um, and in chapter 4, I mean, it's just it continues on. It's been 2 months since he's left. We kinda hear about, like, what's going on more. Her mom sits essentially by the front door every day claiming to clean out the closet, because it's stuffed and whatever, but she's hearing she's, like, waiting for footsteps to
mm,
come to the, like, apartment, and, um but then we also read a little bit more about her family back in Korea. So she is, like, one of 7, I believe. Well, yeah, oh, yeah. Their family of 7 lived, so there's 5 kids, 2 parents, and her and each of her siblings had 2 sets of raggedy clothes and only ate 1 meal a day, which was usually diluted porridge that was more water than rice, and that was just, like, her life, and a lot of the parents at this point would, like, leave their kids to go find work or make their kids go to work and, like, would basically not skip school, but, like, not go to school for that.
this blew my mind, okay? Like, so the oldest child here is 14 in her mother's family, and there's how many of them?
5. It's a
5 of
family of
them.
7.
Yeah, 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 so there's 5 kids. So they just leave a 14-year-old in charge of 4 other children and dip. Like, I know that they're going to find work and to make money, but they just dip. And,
Yeah.
the younger some of these kids
Because
are
winter's
young.
coming and they need to have better clothes and more food and, like, warmth, and
Yeah.
they need to
Um,
survive, and that's what they do.
yeah, so ultimately, these kids are alone for the winter,
Mhm.
and and then they end up leaving too. So, Uma is the one that's like, "No, they said they'd come back. I'm staying here. I'm not going."
Yeah, like, she
And
trusts them to the bone,
yeah, and all of her siblings leave her as well. Her parents do eventually come back,
like,
but,
2
like,
months after.
the abandonment, like, I don't know, issues that this poor girl has, and then she gets
Mhm.
older and her husband leaves her, and, like
She's reverting back to that,
yeah.
and that's, like, part of it too, and what what prompted all of this, like, for her parents to leave her for work to, like, provide for them was their neighbor's daughter. Their neighbor's daughter died. They went to the funeral and they saw nothing more than, like, a skeleton with her clothes hanging off of her, and it shook them so much to the core that, they made no other choice. Um, they left to go make more money and provided some cash to kinda help do with it. Um So it was yeah, so it was really, really rough, and then, like, the kids left to go follow in their footsteps, and she was by herself, basically eating what? Snow and bark and the
Yeah, and then in the
occasional
spring Or in the
like,
summer, she picked humming cicadas from the trees and mushrooms from the woods.
yeah. Um, so, like, by some miracle, she survived. She
Yeah.
survived, but yeah. So she was a small child. She was as small as a child, half her age. She was more bones than flesh. And she could barely talk and seemed to have a little of an idea what was going on around here. But they end up did finding the rest of the family. They were scattered around doing various things at work. Um, and the oldest brother at 14 honestly thought she died.
Yeah.
He didn't expect her to ever like
To
survive
see her
by
again. Yeah.
herself. Yeah.
Well, and then it makes even more sense because there's a chapter or a little paragraph at the top of page 15 with G1 thinking, she's like, I can't help but wonder what Uma would have been like if she had followed her brothers and sisters instead of staying behind. Would she still be this person waiting around for my father who doesn't even want her? Because her parents left and they abandoned her, but they came back. And her siblings left and abandoned her, but they
But
came
they
back. So
so
now her husband has left and
yeah.
abandoned her, and she's just waiting for him to come back.
Yeah. And like she never doubted them for a second. Like she truly believed the best outcome was to happen. And I mean, third time's the charm, right? Why would this change anything?
Yeah.
And at the end of the chapter, it says there are some things that you can never truly escape. Not really. Maybe that's why even now she's stuck in the past long after everyone else has moved on. She is having a common PTSD moment of
Mhm.
um like the way she's reacting and just kind of reverting back to that state where not necessarily that she felt the safest, but like sometimes when you have something traumatic, like you revert back to like a past self and like
Yeah.
she's reverting back to being a child because that this feeling that she has now is the exact same feeling that she felt then.
Yeah.
So unfortunately
Yeah,
it's
and
unhealthy.
then so then we're on into chapter 5. I don't think we've been saying chapters, but we're on chapter 5 now. Um, and it gets worse. Oma needs help bad, bad,
Hmm.
bad, bad. Like she needs therapy
She's basically
and
telling her kids that like white men are the best,
yeah, she read an
that
article that the white
Asian
men are
or
better.
yeah, Asian men are more likely to leave you, all of this.
And yeah, the white men are oh, Korean men are the worst. White men like buy flowers and polite and thoughtful. They're good listeners. They talk about their feelings openly. Um and like maybe they do, but they're also like manipulative shitheads a lot of the time. Again, not all of them, not all of them, but like you can't make a sweeping generalization about an entire group of people like that based on what she says she went on 100 dates or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and that's what the kids were asking, like, "Well, how many dates did she go on? Was it 1? Did she go on, like, 100 Korean men? Like, was it all
right,
these things?" Um, like, did every single Korean man she ever meet go out with do the same thing? Like
right. Or was it one and they're judging the whole group of people based on that one
mhm.
person? Um, and they're kind of like, she's, she makes a comment about, how she like never should have never married their father, should have found a nice white man, and then she wouldn't be in this situation. And the girls are like, bitch, but then we wouldn't be here. And Ji Hyun says that. She's like, is that what you want? Two other daughters who aren't us? And then her mom's like, oh, ha 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 ha. No, of course I wouldn't want other daughters, like blah 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 blah. But like, boy, and then they try to make she tries to make the girls promise that they won't marry Korean men. And Jiwon agrees just to avoid the conflict, but Ji-hyun is like, "No, I'm not promising shit."
Mhm.
And thankfully, Oma drops the subject.
Luckily.
Right.
But
And
chapter
then, yeah, chapter 6. This
chapter
is where
6.
their dad calls and talks to Ji-won, and he's just a dickhead. Like,
Yeah, he's not being very, like, indicative of, like, where he's at, what he's doing, who he's with, nothing like that, and, like, you could hear people like, somebody in the background trying to be quiet, but
and
it's
he
like,
was
"Oh, where
clearly
are
trying to
you?"
get off the phone.
Yeah, "Where are you?" "Oh, I'm close by." "What are you doing?" "Oh, this and that." Like, not
Yeah,
really caring.
and not giving any details. It's like
Mhm,
he's found or started a new family and is just calling out of obligation. But
mhm.
poor sweet Uma is standing there the whole time and got her hand outstretched waiting for the phone, and, like, he doesn't want to talk to you. Like,
Yeah,
he left you. And she gets upset when she's like, "He didn't wanna talk to me," and then gets upset, and it's like, "Hello."
and it at times too, it's like, dang, I understand getting so sad to where, like, you just kinda, like, start losing everything, but I see it more often as, like, people who are younger, not older,
Yeah.
and, like, those with responsibilities, like, children. Like, I'm sitting here, like, I sympathize with her because like, you not that, like I'm not saying she was in, like, an abusive relationship, but, like, when you are in such an abusive, manipulating kinda relationship, that when something like this happens, this is, like, the reaction you have.
Yeah.
I've been through it, I get it, but I was also in my like, early 20s. I was, like, 20, 21, barely grasping adulthood, no commitments to children or anything like that. Like, that's I
Mhm.
feel like that's a little normal, but, like, the fact that she's older,
Yeah, she's what, 54?
yeah, and acting like this, it's like,
But
you've had
she's
a
also
traumatic
emotionally so yeah,
yeah, I was
like
gonna say, you've had a traumatic life, so, like, I get it, but also, like, what?
yeah. And then the other important thing that happens in this chapter is that, again, we Jiwon is a people pleaser, and she's
Mhm,
trying to fix everything. So, tonight when they're eating dinner, she eats the eyeball from the fish, um, and describes it, disgustingly. The outside of the eyeball is fatty, almost jelly-like with a salty, fishy flavor.
like,
Underneath the
ugh.
gelatinous goop, there's a hard white sphere that tastes like nothing. Um,
Here thing too is it's like Americans have to dissect something at some point in their life,
yeah.
and in 6th grade, I had a teacher who was, like, obsessed with science. She ended up getting different, like, animal eyeballs,
Mhm.
and so we dissected that. So, like
We had to dissect cow eyes.
yeah, it was like a cow eye, goat eye, like, something, and then, like, we had, like, brains to match, and I'm sitting here like, does that happen in other world like, countries?
I don't know.
But, like, how
Probably.
she described it was, like, perfect.
Yeah,
I
also
wonder if she's
not putting
actually
on
eating it.
not doing it.
Mm,
But then another thing I said about this chapter is just their mom for just having her heart broken and, like, everything, she's obsessed with their love lives and with them
yeah,
getting a boyfriend, and it's just really creepy.
it is. Again, it's a cultural thing because I feel like that's another common trope that, like, one Asian, I don't know if she's Japanese or Korean or what, but I feel like it's something it's like, "Ooh, Ooh, grandchildren.
Yeah. Which and, like, I guess maybe it's just because of the trauma that I've experienced and my trauma response is different, but, like,
Mhm.
if it was me and I went through that, I would be like, "Don't do it, it's not worth it. Stay alone and love yourself, and you get to do whatever you want." Like, I don't know, I
Mhm.
just wouldn't I would have the opposite kind of response, I think. But
Same. I would feel like I'm being a predator.
yeah,
Like, that's the creep feeling,
yeah.
"Be safe. Okay, bye."
Right, and, like, have
But
fun, but
anyways,
don't get attached.
yeah, they all leave in the end.
People suck.
"Dang, your mom's a little traumatized." "Yeah."
Yeah, he is. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that's chapter 6. Like these chapters are quick. There's not
Mhm.
at least section of chapters like they're really short and
They they're really short throughout the whole
yeah,
thing.
not a lot happens necessarily. Um with chapter 7 we learn a little more about the beginning of Appa and Oma's relationship.
We also
Um
learn a little bit more of the culture of Korea,
yeah.
or like not a superstition, but and this is actually like kinda, something that I've learned too. So, like, they want to know your, like, Myers-Briggs kind of thing. Like, "Oh, I'm this." Like, it's, like, a common question. It's either it's Korea or Japan that does that. There's similarities,
Yeah.
but, like, they don't ask, like, for your IQ, but they ask for, like, something like that. Um, but they also are, like, a superstitious kind of location. So it's called the Sajupalja. Um, it's called like fortune, um, which means like the four pillars of destiny, and your birth date, like the year, the month, the day, and the hour of your birth determines that, and that will essentially determine your luck throughout life.
Yeah.
And he is a firm believer of that because his entire family has had no luck whatsoever. Are you looking up your
I am.
Palja? But so well, while you look that one up, I'll like kind of explain it yet. But it determines your brief existence and whether it'll be good or bad before you even have the opportunity to live. So the entire family apparently does not have good Palja. And so they his parents were farmers who were driven from their land during the Japanese occupation. They were left penniless with only the clothing on their backs. They were uneducated and, having never stepped inside of a school, had never learned to read or write. Appa and his two older sisters faced similar fates. All three of them worked to help support the family from the moment they could walk and talk, selling roasted sweet potatoes on street corners, watching other children go to school. For his sisters, that was like that life was enough. They were resigned to their fate. They would sell potatoes until they found some other meager job, after which they would get married to some other poor fool, another person whose Palja matched theirs. But he was kind of that person that would fight against that. So like we're also kind of seeing like trauma on his dad's side or on her dad's side and kind of like what leads to his choices later on. So he's always fought against his destiny. He taught himself to read and write by digging through piles of trash for discarded newspapers. When he wasn't begging for money or looking for work, he stayed up late reading from cover to cover, sounding out the words silently in his head. He believed words were magic. Um, so he eventually saved up enough money to take the college entrance exam, and his score had actually earned him an article in the newspaper. But he earned a spot at the best school in the country, the Seoul National University. So he it's what?
um I looked it up and it's like the first page where you put in your information was translated to English, but the results page is all in Korean.
We'll just put in like a whatever app to translate it. But so basically, this university was a place that opened doors. But after college, he couldn't find a job. So he basically, he would like dream of working in the big old skyscrapers in Seoul. Um, and so then he was like, all right, well, I'm not going to get it. I'm just going to do menial work because whatever. But then his friend, he actually got in contact with a friend who had moved to California and who had promised him like a whole new change of world. He said, if you come, I'll have a job waiting for you. You won't regret it. California is an incredible place. And it's so funny. It's so funny what people say about us, about America. He's like, Appa knew nothing of California except that is where he heard in passing and seen or what he heard in passing and seen in movies. Supposedly, is a place where people grew fat and rich in their enormous houses and loud American cars. It was a place where dreams come true. And I was like,
Oh.
what a trigger. Because
I
damn.
think um there's a lot on this website. I'm not gonna go through it all right now, but I think we should do an episode about our Sajikaja.
Okay.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay. Um. So yeah, he uh he was like, yeah, let's do it. So he got enough money. He moved to California, to LA, and anything that wouldn't fit in his suitcase, he gave away. And
The American
um,
dream.
yep, and he left his bad luck behind for his good luck in America. Um, and yeah, so while he was there, he Minho, which was his friend that like had him move, he was actually making more money in a year than he ever did living in Seoul. So Minho's wife actually introduced him to to Uma, to his future wife. And apparently Appo was like in love at first sight. He was smitten. Um, and yeah, so they opened up
Six
a dry.
weeks later. They got married 6 weeks later. 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Brie and I have been together for 13 years. 6 weeks. No. 6 weeks is crazy.
Well, you know,
Anyway, yeah, they buy the dry cleaner. Um, and then Minho fucks them over royally.
yeah. Turns out he's a gambler. Um,
He tells
he
them about his
puts.
investment opportunity.
Mhm.
And so all the success that they had earned from the dry cleaner, they lose.
Yep. And anything, and like so, like their big house, their money, everything
The
gone in
dry
the
cleaning
fire.
business even.
Yeah. So now he anything he worked for was crumbled into dust and blew away in a matter of moments, and they had to move to a tiny apartment. Their small uh apartment after they lost the house, and it's so tiny that walls are pushed up against each other. You can hear people breathe, all of that kind of stuff. And so the end of the chapter says, more than anything, he hated that everything in his life served as a reminder of his failures. I don't blame him. Maybe because I know what it's like to live a life so defined by want. That's why I was able to recognize it in him. It is what I have been feeling for so long. And it's like, oh my God, like that is
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. All because he trusted his friend who, to be honest, in the beginning made his life a lot better by convincing him to move there. He introduced him to his wife. Like, all of this prosperity happened, and then he trusted that friend the second time, and he feels that it's all because of his sagittapalgia. Like, he was destined to have a hard life.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So, um, in chapter 8, um, we meet her friend. Um,
Well,
right,
not friend at the moment, but
right, but we meet a boy from her class
mhm, mhm.
at college. And his name is Jeffrey. Is it Jeffrey or Joffrey? I never know how to say it. I
It's
think it's
Jeffrey, I
Jeffrey.
think.
Okay. Um, and so far I like him, but I get the vibe that like I'm not gonna like him for long. I don't know.
Yeah,
But he's wearing like a
he's a feminist.
yeah, he's a feminist. So he has the nevertheless she persisted shirt on and like all these things, and I just like him.
Mhm. Yeah, he's very, women's study, um, very, I don't know, just very,
And like this all happens because some guys were just talking shit about her basically because she's Asian and being misogynists and disgusting. And he is,
yeah, and it made her uncomfortable because they were talking about, they were like jock-esque kind of Americans who, basically one of them slept with a Asian chick the night before, um, and it was making her, like, really uncomfortable, and she just, like, you could just tell.
yeah, because he's talking about how um that they do whatever you want in bed and they ask for more and they like it's just really gross. It's just really
Mhm.
gross stereotyping stuff. And this guy is not like that. And so I feel like they're gonna become friends. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's chapter 8. And I think it was just introducing us to him and giving us that uncomfortable misogynistic moment.
Mhm.
Because I think that we're building our villain here. I think that this is her villain origin story. But
Yeah. I think this
um
is, like, how we start seeing, like, things build up to, the next
yeah.
part, I guess. And I sometimes wonder too if Jeffrey's gonna be one of them, like, maybe he's too feminist for her and, like, it makes not necessarily makes her uncomfortable, but, like, because she's still trying to figure out herself, if
Yeah.
all of that is, I don't know, kinda like the cause of it.
Well, and it's probably also a culture thing, right? Because at, at least in like more traditional Korean culture, feminism is not a thing. Like
It's a very
you're
man
supposed to be
world.
subservient and like quiet and all of that. So it probably is awkward for her, like a
Mhm.
culture kind of thing. In chapter 9, we find out that um first of all that Appa had filed for divorce And second of all, that um Ji Hyun thinks that Uma has a boyfriend or a man that she's seeing.
Yeah, 'cause
Um
he's, like, heard giggling like a schoolgirl in another room.
yeah, and like she keeps going into the bathroom or in her bedroom to talk to someone and Ji Hyun is pissed. She's like, it's not been long enough, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, but like I hear where she's coming from because like she's a child and her parents are just divorced and her whole life is turned upside down. However, everyone needs a rebound.
Yeah.
So like
Unfortunately,
this
it's
this
George.
doesn't have to be a new forever love. This could just be a way of getting over the trauma of what happened.
Yeah. And honestly, like, she could've picked somebody different. It could have
Yeah,
been anybody but
she
fucking
had
George.
picked somebody.
But here we
But
are. We have no
here we
choice but to read about George.
yeah. So chapter 10, Oma finally tells them about George and she had met him at her job and um Jihyun is like, "Are you happy?" And she says, "Very." And I I'd not in from that chapter I was like, "Oh, good for her." Like, yeah. But then in chapter 11 as we start to learn more about George, um he sounds too good to be true at first
Yeah.
because like he's got a good job, he's gonna help her, he's doing all these nice things for her. Um, I don't know, he sounds too good to be true. Um, he's such a humble man, she says. And I'm like, I I don't think so. But I was getting vibes from this that like this is like a gold digger situation.
I was too. I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense." But then I was sitting there thinking, honestly, like, once we meet the guy, he's
Yeah.
literally just a worst not worst version of her father, but, like, a worst version of, like, that kind of, not men are better, but, like, that kind of vibe. Like, it seems very on
Listen,
brand for
I
Uma.
have the perfect thing to describe this man to you, and, like, anyone who is of the same mindset of us and listen if you listen to this podcast, you probably are. At the beginning of chapter 12, the mom points to George's car because they get to this Chinese restaurant that he
Oh,
picked,
yes. Thank you. I'm so glad I know
and
exactly what you're
the
gonna say.
bumper sticker on the back of the truck says, "I'm Republican because we can't all be on welfare."
And I was like, "Oh my
All you need to
fucking
know.
god. I
That's all you need to
hate
know.
George already."
I wrote page 47. Hate him. We haven't even met him yet. Hate
Yeah.
him.
I was like, "I don't give a fuck about him anymore. I don't even know who he is. I don't care. I don't like him."
Yeah, and he's just gross. He can't pronounce their names correctly, won't learn how to pronounce their names correctly, just decides he's gonna call them um
JH
JW
and
and
JW.
JH. Like,
He can't differentiate between the 2 even though they are clearly different ages.
right. And he calls them the wrong names and all of that. Um, and then he orders food for everyone after checking out the waitress and being really gross about it. Um, and they can't communicate because his Korean sucks and her English isn't great. It's just so uncomfortable. The whole thing is so uncomfortable.
Mm.
And then there's even a point where he kind of like looks at Ji-hwan in a
Sexual way.
like sexual manner, like because he's dating her mom. He's old enough to be her father, if not grandfather. Like he's much older. Um, And
Yeah,
also he
he's
takes
like
her to a Chinese restaurant and says he can't eat spicy food.
Koreans love spicy food. Well,
Right, what are you fucking doing here? What
Korean culture eats a lot of spicy food, I should say.
Right. A lot of Asian cultures do. I feel like a lot of Chinese food is spicy. Not all
Mhm,
of it. Like, you can get, like, your basic Americanized versions of things like sweet and sour chicken and
mhm.
that kinda stuff, but, like, anyway, hate him, and he's just a fucking pig. Like,
'Cause
they
he's,
go
like, ogling all of the young
Yes,
women that come by.
yes, and there's so much leftover food, and obviously they don't fucking want it, so Oma puts it into takeout containers and tells George to take it, and then they're like, "Why don't we go for a walk?" And the kids are like, "No." And then he misnames them again, and they decide to go for a walk, and the girls are like, "What the fuck is this?" And Ji-hyun is like, "We need to get rid of him, we need to go, like, this is ridiculous." And Ji-won is like, "We need to be here for our mom," kind of. She's trying to be the peacemaker and keep
Yeah.
things calm. Um, but they, he pulls Uma down onto a bench and, like, basically pulls her down into a puddle because it's raining, and then tries to grab, um, Ji-won and pull her down. It's just like he's very ick.
Mhm.
Very that uncle that probably shouldn't be invited to the family function.
A
Ick.
predator. Mhm.
Yes.
I have one of those uncles.
Yeah. Don't we all?
Yeah. And what's really disgusting is that, like, he's a great uncle, he's not even an uncle.
Right.
And everybody in the family asked and listen, there's only 2 girls in the family, like, cousins. There's 2 cousins in the entire family. Like, my grandma, kids, grandkids, there's only 2 of us. And some of the men were like, "I don't understand why, the girls don't like him. I don't understand why the girls don't like him." I'm like, "2 girls out of a family of boys don't like the one drunk uncle that is on a shit ton of medications because he was an alcoholic for years that
That should be a red flag.
like, he hides water bottles with alcohol in them and claims he's drinking water and it's like vodka. Like, your 12-year-old niece got drunk off drinking Gatorade because it was not Gatorade, it was tequila. Like, red
Yeah.
flag, and that is the vibe George gives.
Yes. Just a walking red flag.
Mm.
Um, so then Ji-won has this dream, a chapter 13, which is the last chapter for this episode.
Yo, this
Um,
was so creepy.
she has this dream where there are just like eyes everywhere.
Just to, like,
Um,
wade through the amount of eyes just to get
yeah. And they're all blue eyes. Um, and she eats it and it's like so yummy, almost like a cherry tomato, she says. Um, and then all of a sudden she's in their house and their old house, their nice big house, and she realizes her hands are covered in blood and then she wakes up. Um, and then she has like a reminiscence, but like I was just like gross. But yeah,
She does make a comment. She was, like, because when she did bite down on the George eyeball, she said something about there was, like, a hint of sweetness, a lemony tang, almost like a cherry tomato. I will not be able to eat cherry tomatoes.
I don't eat cherry tomatoes anyway, so it's not a problem for me
The same.
ever again.
I probably will never be able like, I'll eat it, but I will probably never be able to, like, unthink of this book.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was like, "That's fucked up."
Yeah.
So, um thanks, Monica Kim, for that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. But yeah, so that was part 1 of The Eyes Are the Best Part in this
Yeah.
psychological, weird ass thriller novel.
I'm excited to get more into it, though. It's really good so far. I'm
Yeah,
excited to see.
it gets really good. It's like so I even asked her, I was like, "So, do you have happened to read, like, more in the book? I'm actually ready for part 2." And she's like, "I haven't, but okay."
No, I
I was like,
haven't because good news, friends. Hopefully, we stop having all the technical difficulties because I finally got my new setup and I was setting
"Yeah."
it up last night. So
So, yay.
I do not have time to read more, but I will this weekend.
Till she starts, acting. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so anyways, until next time.
Bye.